Going on, everybody? We're going to mix it up a little bit tonight, and we're going to go through um, some of the new playtest content that they released today for um, the new D&D one rule set, the next generation of D&D. You give me just a second here. Take care of a little bit of housekeeping. Okay, housekeeping out of the way. Let's kind of dig into this a bit. And so, for some background before we get started, I have been DMing for 5th edition for a couple years now, and I've been through a few campaigns. I have gotten some experience under my belt as a DM and a little bit of experience as a player, so I feel like I've gotten pretty comfortable with the game. So we're going to take a look at this new content, which they're putting in playtesting now. If you haven't heard so far, today they had the Wizards showcase where they discussed some of the new things that are going to be coming to D&D over the course of the next year and into 2024. And what I've got pulled up on my screen here right now is one of the first documents of playtest content, uh, lining up some of the new rules. These rules specifically are part of the character creation process for choosing your race and your background and what bonuses come along with that. So I guess their plan is each month they're going to release, or thereabouts, they're going to release a new one of these articles, PDFs. You'll be able to get them over on D&D Beyond. You can sign up there for playtesting, and then after a couple weeks, they'll put out surveys. So if you do look over any of this content, very important, go ahead and fill out the survey. Let them know what you think, because they're going to use that feedback to develop the next iteration of D&D, which right now they're just calling One D&D. They're not calling it 5.5. They're not calling it 6E. They seem to be wanting to get away from calling it any sort of edition. Like they just want to call it Dungeons and Dragons. Just want to call it D&D. No more of this, version wars, edition wars, or any of that kind of garbage. So, what I just wanted to do here is scroll through this document, take a look at it. I took a brief glance at it earlier today, but I haven't looked at it in depth. So, let's kind of dig in here and get some thoughts on it. If you have any thoughts on any of it, feel free to share in the chat. But yeah, we'll just dive right in and see what we got. So, as it says right here up front, this document is a series of Unearthed Arcana articles that present material designed for the Player's Handbook coming in 2024. The material here uses the rules in the 2014 Player's Handbook, except where noted. Providing feedback on this document is one way you can help shape the next generation of D&D. So in here, it looks like they're going to have options for your races, backgrounds, starting languages, feats, and then they've got, I guess, like a rules glossary at the back of the book. So some of this stuff is mostly, I guess, self-explanatory. I'm not going to read it verbatim. If you want to read, the whole thing, go check it out. It's free. Go to D&D Beyond. Account is free. Getting the document is free. Providing feedback is free. Go ahead and check it out. So let's kind of determining, what do we got here? What's this? I didn't see this sidebar about power level earlier. Character options you read here might be more or less powerful than options in the Player's Handbook 2014. If a design survives playtesting, we adjust its power to the desirable level. Okay, so disclaimer, if something seems OP, then, they'll adjust. Race background, language. A character's race represents their ancestry. Confers game traits to character's background, collection of characteristics, la 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 la. Character origin overview. That's your creature type, your size, your speed. Your lifespan, special traits, so on and so forth. Things like dark vision, or resistances, or vulnerabilities, and any of that sort of stuff. When you choose your character's race, you determine whether your character is a member of the human race or fantastical race, and so on and so forth. Children of different humanoid kinds. Thanks to the magical workings of the multiverse, humanoids of different kinds sometimes have children together. For example, folk who have a human parent and an orc or an elf parent are particularly common. Many other combinations are possible. If you would like to play the child of such a wondrous pairing, those two race options that are humanoid, choose two race options that are humanoid to represent your parents. Then determine which of those race options provides your game traits, size, speed, special traits. You can then mix and match visual characteristics, color, ear shape, and the like of the two options. If your character has a halfling and a gnome parent, you might choose a halfling. Choose halfling for your game traits, and then decide that your character has pointed ears that are characteristic of a gnome. Finally, determine the average of the two options' lifespan traits. Figure out how long you might live. For example, a child of a halfling and a gnome has an average lifespan of 288 years. So, now one thing that's interesting about this, so it sounds like you more or less just get to pick as far as your traits, your size, speed, etc. You only get to pick those from one of your parents. I guess we'll see how they flesh this out going forward. But I think it would be neat if you could actually mix and match attributes, right? Like, okay, using their example here, you're the smaller stature of a gnome, but maybe you have like the walking speed of a halfling, for example. Maybe it gives you 5 more feet of movement. But then you don't get the luck trait of the halfling, but maybe you get some kind of tinkering from the gnome. Like, mix and match the traits. Don't just lump the traits into a group and be like, you can pick this group or this group. Let me have an option maybe to pick 1 or 2 from this group and then 1 or 2 for this group and just sort of mash them together. Other than that, what it sounds like is that going forward, you won't have just like half elf as a race option. It'll just be like, yeah, if you want to have half something, a half elf traditionally being a half human, half elf, then you would create it in this way. So that's kind of interesting. We'll see where that goes along. Humans and throughout the multiverse, plentiful, most common, the most ingenious, adaptable, so on and so forth. Human, creature type humanoid. Yeah, I would expect nothing less. But size. So this is different. Normally, if you're a human, I think typically your main option was medium. Now you could be medium or small. And I like how they give you. I like how they give you heights here. That seems new. I haven't looked in the PHB for a while, but 4 to 7 feet tall or 2 to 4 feet tall. So you could be a human who's about the size of a gnome. you know. um, when you select this race, standard walking speed, lifespan 80 years on average. Unless like you're Betty White or somebody or Chuck Norris, and you know, she made it to about 100, right? But it is 80 years on average, so hey. Um, Resourceful. You gain inspiration whenever you finish a long rest. So that's interesting, and I'd like some clarification. Do they mean inspiration as in the token that you can apply to your character that lets you re-roll an attack or a save? Because that's regular inspiration. The other kind of inspiration is like Bardic Inspiration. You can add a D4 or a D6, I forget which, to your next attack roll or saving throw and that kind of stuff because the bard played a little ditty to inspire you. So when they say the human gets inspiration on a long rest, do they mean every long rest you have a one-time option to add like a D4 to a attack or saving throw, or do you just automatically get an inspiration? Because that seems a little OP, right? If just every morning your human character, you wake up, you have an automatic option to re-roll an attack or a saving throw. Because currently, unless you play with some kind of varied rules, you can get inspiration by playing to your character. If your character is shy and you shy away from conversations, you kind of hide away in the corner. If your character is brazen and you step forward and you take charge of a situation, then you can get inspiration because you're playing into your character's strengths or weaknesses. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll find that out a little bit further along. Wonder what the asterisks are about. I guess we'll see. Skillful. You gain proficiency in one skill of your choice. That's typical. Versatile. You gain the skilled feat or another first level feat of your choice. On any given world in the multiverse, material culture of humans can change from one region to another in the Forgotten Realms, for example, clothing, architecture, cuisine, so on and so forth. Ardlings. This was the new race that they mentioned. So I guess an Ardling is supposed to be sort of the antithesis of the Tiefling. I know previously that's generally been considered to be the Aasimar. But according to the description that Jeremy Crawford was giving in the video about this document earlier today, it sounds like Ardlings are even more closely tied, sort of cousins to the Tieflings, where Tieflings are spawned from lower planar beings like devils and the like. Ardlings are tied to the upper planes, angels and all that sort of stuff. Supernal beings who are either born on the upper planes or have one or more ancestors who originated there. Their bright souls shine with the light of immortal beings who call the upper planes home. An Ardling has a head resembling that of an animal, typically one with virtuous associations. Depending on the animal, the Ardling might also have soft fur, downy feathers, or supple bare skin. The Ardling's celestial legacy determines the animal it resembles. An Ardling gains a measure of magical power from their celestial legacy, as well as the ability to manifest spectral wings. An Ardling's moral and ethical outlook is self-determined, however, not fixed by ancestry. So you could potentially have an opportunistic or evil Ardling. I guess we'll see how that goes. The 3 celestial legacies are as follows: Exalted, the fierce passion of Arborea, the heroic heart of Eastgard, and the wondrous nature of the Beastlands, called Ardlings who have the exalted celestial legacy. Their celestial ancestors are heroic champions of the chaotic good planes. Interesting. Heavenly, the blissful harmony of Arcadia, the unwavering justice of Mount Celestia, and the bucolic paradise of Bitopia. Interesting. Is that like a utopia or a dystopia? Is that somewhere in between a bitopia? I don't know. Touch the souls of Ardlings who have the heavenly celestial legacy. Their celestial ancestors are staunch defenders of the lawful good planes. Idyllic. The idyllic celestial legacy connects Ardlings not only to the Beastlands and Bitopia, but also to the eternal compassion of Elysium. Their celestial ancestors are paragons of kindness who hail from the neutral good planes. So you're humanoid. Same thing, you can be medium or small. Speed is 30 feet. They live about 200 years. Angelic flight. Bonus action. You sprout spectral wings for a moment and fly up to a number of feet equal to your speed. If you are in the air at the end of the movement, you fall if nothing is holding you aloft. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Again, with the asterisk. So I'd like to see some clarification on that. What is, as a bonus action, spectral wings fly up to a number of, a number of feet equal to your speed. So basically, you would be able to fly up to 30 feet. At the end of 30 feet, gone. That's it. No more wings, you fall. So I don't know, that's kind of cool. Celestial Legacies. What do you get here? Oh, okay. Kind of suggested animals. Exalted, being a cat, eagle, goat, mule. Huh. Feel like a bear, dog. You can be dog people now. Raven, a toad. Okay, and then you get some spells with those, like thaumaturgy, guidance. Okay, 3rd level, 5th level. Stone of Truth. That's pretty cool. Celestial Legacy. You are the recipient of a Celestial Legacy that grants you magical abilities. Choose a legacy from the Celestial Legacies table. Exalted, associated with chaotic good planes. Heavenly, associated with lawful good planes, or idyllic, associated with neutral good planes. You gain the initial benefit of the chosen legacy, a cantrip that you learn, and you also choose the animal you most closely resemble. The table provides a few suggestions for each legacy. You don't gain wings by choosing, you don't gain wings by choosing an animal that can fly. Yes, very important to clarify, because I've had players and I know people who would 100% be like, oh, so I look like a raven. That mean I get wings? I can fly? Like, well, now, yes, you can fly for 30 feet, but not because you're a raven. So, starting at 3rd level, again at 5th level, you gain the ability to cast a higher level spell with this trait as shown on the table. Once you cast the spell with this trait, you can't cast that spell with it again until you finish a long rest. No asterisk this time. However, you can cast the spell using any spell slots you have of the appropriate level. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for the spells you cast with this trait. Choose the ability when you select the legacy. They don't. I guess you could just. It's not dictated by your legacy. I guess you can just say, Okay. You have resistance to radiant damage. Interesting. Ardlings on many worlds. Dragonborn. I am the last dragon. What do we got here? Earliest Dragonborn hatched from the eggs of chromatic and metallic dragons. They seem to be taking a bit of a Fizban's Treasury of Dragons here, where they sort of stepped back and like, you know what? Dragons have a lot of myths. Maybe dragons came from this world or this god or that god. Maybe they didn't. You make it up. That's one thing that they do kind of do currently in D&D that I don't know. Maybe I'd like a little bit more structure on. Don't don't maybe do so much like it's whatever you want. Come give something. Give some, don't be afraid. I get it. You don't want to box people in. You put it on the page, it becomes a rule. People get afraid of it. Rules lawyers. But I don't know. But yeah, like it says here, earliest Dragonborn hatched from eggs of chromatic and metallic dragons. One story holds that these eggs were blessed by the dragon gods Bahamut and Tiamat, who wanted to populate the worlds of dragons with people created in their image. Another story holds that dragons created the first Dragonborn without the gods' blessings. Whatever their origins, Dragonborn have made homes for themselves on the worlds of the material plane. I think it was a thing for a little while. I think it says in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide that Dragonborn are aliens from another planet. So, but I feel like they've kind of backed off of that too, because there's no mention of a Dragonborn homeworld in Spelljammer. I suppose you could make one if you wanted, but yeah. Look like wingless bipedal dragons, la 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 la. Dragonborn traits, humanoid, only medium, 5 to 7 feet tall, 30 feet, 80 years on average. That seems a little unfair. I wonder if that's a misprint, right? Because they're, kind of like part dragon, part humanoid. You'd figure they'd get more than a human lifespan. But I suppose. You get a draconic ancestry. Your lineage stems from a dragon progenitor who choose the type of dragon. So basically, pick what color Dragonborn you are, and that's your damage type. So the usual suspects: black, acid, blue, lightning, brass, fire, bronze, lightning, copper, acid, gold, fire, green, poison, red, fire, silver, cold, white, cold. This is all kind of standard stuff. At least of the recent updates to it from Fizban's. As an action, you exhale destructive energy in a 15-foot cone. Each creature makes a save, or they take damage, or they take half damage, so on and so forth. You have resistance to the damage type determined by your draconic ancestry trait. So if you picked fire, you have resistance to fire. Would be neat, though, if that meant that you had a vulnerability to cold, but they don't really mess with vulnerabilities a lot in current D&D. So, draconic language. You instinctively know the language of dragons. You can therefore speak, read, and write Draconic. Dragonborn in many worlds. The dwarfs. We got here. Everybody knows dwarfs. They live in the mountains. They look for gold and riches and all that sort of stuff. You're humanoid. You're medium. 4 or 5 feet tall. 30 feet. 350 years on average. They get dark vision. Comes from running around down in the tunnels all day, laddie. Dwarven resilience. You have resistance to poison. It's all kind of standard stuff. Dwarven toughness. Your hit point max is increased by 1. And it increases by 1 again whenever you gain a level. Okay, so by the time you hit level 10, you got like 10 extra hit points. So that's kind of cool. Forge-wise, your divine creator gave you an uncanny affinity for working with stone or metal. You gain tool proficiency, asterisk, with 2 of the following options of your choice: jeweler's tools, mason's tools, smith's tools, or tinker's tools. Stone cunning. Yeah, I remember hearing about this. Crawford was talking about this in the video. As a bonus action, you gain tremor sense with a range of 60 feet. For 10 minutes, you must be on a stone surface or touching such a surface to use this tremor sense. Stone can be natural or worked. I think that was a limitation of original tremor sense. It had to be unworked stone, but it seems for dwarves, which they should, that makes sense, right? They craft things out of stone like they are one with the stone. They know what's, they know the vibrations, they know when something's not right. So yeah, that makes sense. You can use this bonus action number of times equal to your proficiency. The only thing I don't like about these skills that say you can do X a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus is in digital tool sets, you still have to manually track that. It's kind of a pain. I know if you were doing it all entirely on pen and paper, you'd still have to manually track everything. I know. But when you have digital tool sets and they automatically track so many other things, I'm looking at you, D&D Beyond, who still doesn't track things that you can cast a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. I'm sure you can do it. I believe in you. Come on. So let's see. Dwarves of Many Worlds, Grey Hawk and Dragonlance settings, respectively. Examples of worlds that blah, blah. Elves. We all know elves. Tall, skinny, snooty, pointy ears. You're humanoid, 5 to 6 feet tall, 30 feet, 750 years on average. You get dark vision, elven lineage. You are part of an elven lineage that grants you supernatural abilities. Choose a lineage from the elven lineages table. Drow, the lineage of the Underdark. So it sounds like, in that case, they won't necessarily be splitting elves out into individualized races. You will simply pick it as a lineage, which is kind of cool. You're an elf. An elf is an elf is an elf. Your lineage might be drow, might be a moon elf, so on and so forth. That's kind of neat. Starting at 3rd level, again at 5th level, you also gain the ability to cast a spell with this trait. So, kind of similarly to the Ardling stuff, right? Yeah. Drow get fairy fire, and the darkness spell. That's kind of neat. High elves can detect magic. Range of your dark, because you lived in the Underdark, the range of your dark vision increases by 120 feet. That's cool. Wood elf, your speed increases to 35 feet. You also know the druid craft cantrip. You get the long strider spell, which further increases your speed. So being a wood elf, you're just gonna zip, 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 and then on top of that, if you get like the boots of speed, just there's gonna be no stop. You're gonna be the Flash, no stopping you. That's neat. Pass without a trace, a good spell. Always handy. Elves of Many Worlds. Trace can typically dwell in the dark note, where the exceptions include, of course, you gotta mention them. It's his 30th anniversary this year. No, 35th. I think it says it's the 35th anniversary this year of Driss Duerden and Jarlaxle Bainray, 2 drow adventurers of the Forgotten Realms who shunned their subterranean homeland. Yeah, good old Drizzt. What else we got here? The gnomes. Oh, the gnomes. You're a humanoid. You're small, 3 to 4 feet tall. So wait, hold on. Wait a minute. I'm gonna go back up. Yeah, here we are. Human. 2 to 4 feet tall. I feel like they should go back to the gnomes and also do 2 to 4 feet. Also just for consistency's sake, if we're going to say a small creature is 2 to 4 feet, then a small creature is 2 to 4 feet. Whether it's a gnome or whether it's a human. That's I don't know. Either the human needs to be 3 or 4 feet, or the gnome needs to be 2 to 4 feet. Whatever. That's a minor gripe. Speed is 30 feet. You can go fast on those tiny little legs. You know what, though? I think Halfling's coming up. I guess I feel like, don't Halflings have 25 feet? Here's the Halfling. Let's go to this for a second. Nope, 30 feet. I guess everybody gets 30 feet across the board now. Okay. It makes it easier to remember anyway. Default movement, 30 feet. Done. So but anyway, gnomes who also tinker around underground get dark vision. You have advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. Man, that also seems a little OP. You know, so you get advantage on all 3 of those rolls. Hell, don't even bother taking proficiency in those then, right? You got advantage on them. Who cares if you got proficiency in them? You got advantage on them all the time. Put proficiency in, strength or con. That seems a little OP. I bet that's going to get revised. Maybe you'll get to pick one, but not all 3. Gnomish lineage. You're part of a gnomish lineage. It grants you supernatural abilities. This is a new thing for these lineages and stuff. This feels a little bit more like Pathfinder, which I've only recently started to dabble in. So correct me if I am mistaken. But in Pathfinder, when you pick your race and your lineage and your ancestry and all that stuff, and that determines all these different sorts of things. So rather than saying up front, they've done away with the so-called racial bonuses and stuff, and they're just giving you all these sorts of lineages which give you extra spells or other cool little things, little abilities and stuff like that. So that's cool. Forest gnomes, rock gnomes. We got here. The minor illusion cantrip. You can also cast Speak with Animals spell with this trait. You can cast it with this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Again, with the asterisk. I want to see what that asterisk is. You can also use any spell slots you have to cast the spell, so that's handy. Be a gnome ranger. Be kind of cool. Rock gnome. The mending and prestidigitation cantrips. In addition, you can spend 10 minutes casting prestidigitation. Say that 10 times fast. Casting prestidigitation to create a tiny clockwork device with an AC of 5 and 1 HP, such as a toy, a fire starter, or a music box. Casting the spell in this way consumes 10 gold worth of raw material. 10 gold worth of raw materials, so string, gears, and the like, which you provide during the casting. So now that's something definitely need to track. Now, depending on your table, you could just say it consumes 10 gold. That way you don't got to worry about picking up materials. Some people like to be meticulous, though. They want to get that string and the gears and all the stuff. And come up with about 10 gold of that. Which for the gears maybe would add up to the 10 gold. But boy, string, that don't cost, that's kind of nothing. But yeah, I would just say take 10 gold out of your pouch, and there you go. When you create the device, you determine its function by choosing one effect from the prestidigitation. The device can produce that effect whenever you or another creature takes a bonus action to touch the device and activate. So you can make a prestidigitation, little doodad. It's kind of neat. Gnomes of many worlds. Halflings. We all know halflings. We've all watched Lord of the Rings, or maybe you've read, um, various Forgotten Realms books and that sort of stuff. So we all know halflings. So again, yeah, here, small, 2 to 3 feet tall. So halflings are smaller than gnomes. I always thought gnomes were the smallest guys. It would go dwarf, halfling, gnome. But anywho, I'm sure they'll clean that up or whatever. The size really only matters on a grid anyway. So, 30 feet. Lifespan is 150 years on average. The halfling, you have these special traits. You are brave. You have advantage on saving throws you make to avoid or end the frightened condition on yourself. Which also is a sort of a thing that they kind of took from Kender. The whole not being afraid kind of thing. Except in this case, you got to roll for it. Halfling nimbleness. You can move through the space of any creature that is of a size larger than yours. But you can't stop there. I guess this would apply to enemies more so, but like for players, at my table, I just let people, if you want to pass through your buddy's space, go ahead, no problem. Luck, when you roll a 1, that's standard on the d20. You can re-roll the die, and you must use the new roll. Naturally stealthy, you have a proficiency in the stealth skill. Like so many worlds. Orcs. I always think of World of Warcraft. I come from the orcs. We eat with spoons and forks. We love to eat our pork. But anyway. So you're a humanoid. You're a big old boy. 6 to 7 feet tall. Like, I guess maybe 7 is the upper limit of medium. I would almost call that a large. But all right. 30 feet, 80 years on average. As an orc, you have these special traits. Adrenaline Rush. You can take the dash action as a bonus action. When you do so, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. These guys would be great as barbarians. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You get dark vision, powerful build. You count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and your weight. So yeah, because you're a big old boy. You're almost 7 feet tall. So though you still fit in one square, you're kind of a large creature. That's kind of neat. Relentless Endurance. When you are reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead. Once you use this feature, you can't do it again until you finish a long rest. Yeah, those guys would be fantastic barbarians. They would be some OP barbarians. Orcs in Many Worlds, the Tiefling. Like I was saying before, you have the Ardlings, which are sort of the celestial cousins of these guys. Abyssal. What we got here? So Tiefling chooses whether to embrace or lament their fiendish legacy. The three legacies are as follows: Abyssal, the heartless entropy of the abyss, the howling chaos of pandemonium, and the vast despair of carcerai. Call to tieflings who have the abyssal fiendish legacy: horns, fur, tusks, black blood, and peculiar odors are common physical features of such tieflings, most of whom have the blood of demons coursing through their veins. So that's a little bit different, right? Currently, most of your tieflings, if you run in D&D circles, are the stereotypical purple tiefling who's kind of a pretty boy, not really, not particularly furry, perhaps, certainly belying his demonic heritage. But this is, I like the description. They have horns, fur, tusks, black blood, and a peculiar odor. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Chthonic. Tieflings who have the chthonic fiendish legacy not only feel the tug of carcerai, but also the greed of Gehenna and the underworld gloom of Hades. Some of these tieflings look cadaverous. Others possess the unearthly beauty of an incubus or succubus, and they have physical features in common with a night hag, a Yugoloth, or some other neutral, evil, fiendish ancestor. I love these descriptions of the tieflings now, right? It's not just the purple tiefling. These are fantastic. Infernal. Infernal fiendish legacy binds tieflings by blood not only to Gehenna, but also to the raging battlefields of Acheron and the diabolical 9 hells. Horns, spines, tails, golden eyes, and a faint odor of sulfur or smoke. Common physical features of such tieflings, most of whom can trace their ancestry to devils. And maybe some of these descriptions are in the player's handbook. Again, it's been a minute since I've actually looked inside the player's handbook, but I don't know. These, I don't feel like I've read these before. It's been a couple years, so. And every time I see tieflings, it's always, the purple tiefling or the pink tiefling. But they all generally have, kind of that human smirky face, the cliche tiefling bard, as it were. I like that. That's cool. Humanoid, 4 to 7 feet tall. Small, 3 to 4 feet tall. Choose when you select it. You'd be like a 3 foot tall tiefling. You'd be like an imp, Awesome. 100 years on average. As a tiefling, you get dark vision, fiendish legacy, starting at 3rd level, and again at 5th level. So similar to the other legacies, you get cool things. You can cast Ray of Sickness, False Life, Hellish Rebuke. 5th level, you get Hold Person, Ray of Enfeeblement, and Darkness. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, okay, now switching over to backgrounds. Your character's background is a collection of characteristics that represent the place and occupation that were most formative for the character before they embarked on a life of adventure. When you choose a background, you have 3 options. You can build a background by using the rules in the Build Your Background section. You can select a pre-made background from the Sample Background section, or select a pre-made background from the Sample Backgrounds section, and then customize it with the rules in the Build Your Background section. No matter which background you choose, consider these questions for your character's viewpoint, or from your character's viewpoint. How does your background influence your character? So this is, you go through this, and this is more a way to get you some feats or some bonus skills, or it looks like some equipment, that goes along with your background. Backgrounds generally seem to be more important rather than just some sort of like story flavor, which is nice. And again, also feels a bit more like Pathfinder. Build your background using the rules, using Now, using the rules here, you can build a background from scratch or customize a pre-made background, focusing on details related to the backstory you have in mind for your character. You build a background, your character gains the features of the background features section below. As you make choices for those features, think about your character's past. Where did they spend most of their time? What did they do for a living? What capabilities and possessions did they acquire? What language did they learn for their family? And so on and so on and so on. So background features. So here's where you get your ability scores. When you determine your character's ability scores, choose 2 of them, increase one by 2 and the other by 1. Alternatively, choose 3 and increase them by 1. So those are the Tasha's rules. We already have these rules, but that's cool. They're just going to be part of the regular PHB, you know. Skill proficiencies, you choose 2 skills and this and that. So that's a completely, yeah, that's very similar to the Tasha's rules. Ability score increases from elsewhere. Since 2014, characters have received ability score increases from several sources, either from a race that has the ability score increase trait, or the ability score rules in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, Monsters of the Multiverse, and other books. If you make a character using one of these older sources and get ability score increases from it, the character doesn't also get the ability score increases from the background. So because they've said that, you know, the new updates will be backwards compatible, and I guess this is here where they're just letting you know, hey, if you made your character in the old style, you don't gain the ability score increases here. So you don't, again, crafty players, sorry, you don't get to double up on those increases. Sample backgrounds. Here's a selection of some different backgrounds. So you got the Acolyte, gives you +2 to Wisdom, +1 to Intelligence, gives you skill in Insight and Religion. Calligrapher's Tools, you know Celestial because you're an Acolyte. You're like, you know, you work at a temple. That sort of stuff. Maybe you were a priest's apprentice, or you know, you were sent out as a pilgrim by your holy order, or any of that sort of stuff. You devoted yourself to the service in a temple, either nestled in blah blah blah. Equipment, you get a prayer book, calligrapher supplies, parchment, robe, holy symbol, and 3 gold. Took a vow of poverty on that one. The Artisan, which gives you 2 intelligence and 1 charisma. Investigation and persuasion. Artisans Tools, 1 of your choice. So, I guess like Tinker's Tools or what have you. You know Gnomish. I don't know. That, I mean, I guess are we saying that because gnomes are so closely tied to the artisanal arts that one might know Gnomish? I don't know. I mean, I guess if each background is going to grant a language, I suppose Gnomish works. But I kind of feel like they should leave that open. Say, you know, 1 additional language of your choice. You know, why does it necessarily have to be Gnomish? But I would probably open that up and say 1 language of your choice. Get the crafter feat. You get an abacus, 2 pouches, artisans tools, traveler's clothes, 25 gold. That's right, because you're an artisan. You make cool shit. You got the money. Starting out, anyway. I mean, the grand scheme of things, 25 gold's not much, but damn, it ain't 3 gold. The Charlatan. I know a player who would love to play with the Charlatan background. Deception, sleight of hand. You get a forgery kit. You know Infernal. Again, okay, you're a charlatan. Why does that automatically mean that you know Infernal? I would open that up to say 1 additional language of your choice. You get the skilled feat. You get a costume, a forgery kit, fine clothes, and 15 gold. criminal. Also, since alignments really haven't been a thing, these are also sort of an extension, maybe, of sort of alignments. At least they make more sense than just straight up alignments, right? Because you're a criminal, you know. Ability scores, you get 2 to Dex, 1 to Intelligence, you get Sleight of Hand, Thieves' Tools. Thieves can't. That one I could believe. That one I would say is a good automatic lock-in. If you're a criminal, you probably know thieves can't. That makes sense. You get a crowbar. Now I'm just imagining Harry and Marv from Home Alone. They obviously had the criminal background. Some of their other skills weren't too great, but they had the criminal background. You know what? I want to do a campaign sometime. It would have to be like a campaign for 2 or 3 players, right? At least 2. You're 2 thieves trying to break into an aristocrat's house to steal all their shit. They've accidentally left their son home alone, and he has prepared all kinds of traps for you to have to avoid or disarm, and so on and so forth. That would be all kinds of fun. I should do that sometime. But also you have disadvantage on avoiding those traps. The kid's an artificer. A cultist. Ooh. I remember seeing that background before. A dragon cultist by chance? Abyssal. Again, okay? Abyssal doesn't necessarily have to be. I would open that up. 1 additional language of your choice. It's going to depend what you were a cultist of. But all right. Magic Initiate, Arcane, which that makes sense. You get a bell, a lamp, common clothes, a robe, 19 gold. Look at that. Look at that. The cultists get more money than the acolytes. Eat that, acolytes. Again, he must have took a vow of poverty. The cultist's like, nah, I'm keeping the money. He probably stole it off somebody. Let's see. you know what? The cultist had no money. The acolyte probably had 22. And the cultist stole 19 of it. Let's see. Entertainer. Anyway. So 2 charisma, 1 dex, acrobatics and performance, musical instruments, 1 of your choice. So you could be something. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. But imagine a barbarian with the entertainer background. You're dabbling a little bit into the bardic arts there. But you're out there in a loincloth on the battlefield with your axe. You know what though? That would be freaking neat. A barbarian who can dabble in the bardic arts, and maybe sings battle hymns of Odin to inspire people and give them bardic inspiration. That'd be pretty damn cool. Again with the language, okay? Entertainer, language, Elvish. Once again, I would open it up and just say 1 additional language of your choice. Just because you know how to do a play on a stage or how to sing a song doesn't necessarily mean you know how to speak Elvish. But all right. You get 2 costumes as opposed to the charlatan. Mirror, traveler's clothes, 8 gold. Catching up to the acolyte. Farmer. +2 to con, +1 to wisdom, plus you get animal handling and nature. Carpenter's tools. Language, halfling. One additional language of your choice. You get carpenter's tools, a sickle. They need to make the sickle a weapon in D&D. That'd be wild. Healer's kit. Yeah, because you probably know first aid as a farmer, right? People get hurt. 23 gold. I think that's the most gold of any of these. No, I think. Yeah, the artisan had 25. Okay. Um, the Gladiator, the Russell Crowe. That's what I'm going to rename it. It's the Russell Crowe. +2 to strength, +1 to charisma, athletics and performance. Smith's tools. Maybe. Because you probably know how to fix your own armor and that kind of stuff. Again with the language. That's going to aggravate me. Okay? One additional language of your choice. Just because you know how to fight in the arena, just because you participated in the great games, does not necessarily mean that you know how to speak Orc. Beat Savage Attacker. The Guard. A gaming set. I guess that implies that guards, they play cards or dice when they're supposed to be watching the gate. I don't know. And again with the language. What? The guide. Blah, blah, blah. But they know giant. The language thing's just killing me. Hermit, a noble, pilgrim, a laborer. We got a lot of backgrounds. The sage. Makes me think of Final Fantasy. You'd be Tella. Kind of cool, right? Say things like Spoony Bard. Calligrapher supplies. Elvish. What? No, who knows Goblin? Who knows Goblin? No, a soldier. Well, I would buy that as one option because okay, a soldier probably needs to know Goblin if you're in an area that's frequently maybe invaded by goblins or you have goblin traders coming into town or I don't know, something like that. So again, I would change all of these to one additional language of your choice rather than set a specific language. I will say it till I'm blue in the face. The urchin. Just a little street urchin going around doing a bit of pickpocketing. Didn't mean nothing by it, sir. You get thieves' tools, common sign language. Interesting. That is wild. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That's cool. Not thieves can't, which I think a lot of folks have kind of substituted in. Usually, thieves can't for sign language. But to actually see, I don't think I've ever seen that before in any of the books. Common sign language. So basically, you can speak English in sign language. That is pretty goddamn cool. I don't think I would make it a specific option for the urchin, one language of your choice, but it's cool to know that that's an option. That's neat. Your character begins play knowing at least 3 languages. Wow. Okay, so if by default everybody's going to know at least 3 languages, why do you get one more for your background? That also seems a little OP, right? Because that sort of takes down the and I know we want to try to eliminate barriers in D&D, but think about for a minute, okay? You are human, you grew up in a village. You've lived there your entire life. You've maybe seen elves a time or two. Some halfling farmers come and they trade and that kind of stuff. But one day, you go out on an adventure and you have to pass through a dwarven city. Never met one before in your life. You don't know the language. You're walking up in there. Most of the folks, they're all talking to them, talking to each other in dwarvish. You don't know the language. That's a puzzle in the game to have to try to figure out now. It's like, man, I need to try to find somebody who speaks common or some other language that I know potentially. It's otherwise going to have to start rolling, intelligence checks or something to see if you're getting your point across because you don't know the language. So I don't know. I feel like that's too much because at that point, that's 4 languages, man. That's just, I don't know. I'd probably limit that at my table. Standard language table lists the languages, blah, blah. So what all do we have here? Yeah, that's neat to see. Common sign language. That's cool. Dwarvish, Elvish, Giant, Gnomish, Goblin, Halfling, and Orc. Rare languages. Ooh. That's neat that they break them down into different kinds of languages now, too. What up, Matt? Was going over some of the new playtest content for the upcoming version of D&D in like a year and a half. I was reading through this PDF here and kind of breaking it down. But it's neat to see them, do rare languages. Deep speech, abyssal, draconic, druidic. That's cool. I like that. Feat descriptions. Oh, neat. Okay. I was wondering about these. The alert feat, you can't be surprised. Yeah. And initiative proficiency. You roll initiative, you add your proficiency. Well, I think that's how that works now. Initiative swap. I think that's new. Immediately after you roll your initiative, you can swap your initiative with the initiative of one willing ally in the same combat. You can't make this swap if you or the ally is incapacitated. Okay. That's like a new thing, though. I like that. Maybe that's what the asterisks mean. Maybe the asterisks mean that this is new. Could be. Crafter. Yeah, but see, then I don't know, right? Because you got tool proficiency, asterisk, with 3 different Artisans Tools, asterisk, of your choice. Anyway, interested in some of this other stuff, though. No prerequisite. It's not repeatable. Oh, that's good to know. They identify if things are repeatable or not. That's let's see. So yeah, discount. Whenever you buy a non-magical item, receive a 20% discount. Oh, come on. Come on. Okay. Heroes already have a hard time getting rid of all of their money, right? Treasure, I'll be interested to see how they break it down in the new edition, but right now, treasure is very often so plentiful, money is so easy to make, and now you want to give them a 20% discount on everything if they have the crafter feat. Which, I mean, that's one of those, like, why wouldn't you take that? You know? Faster crafting is reduced by 20%. Okay? You're a healer. Battle medic. If you have a healer's kit, you can expend 1 use of it to tend to a creature within 5 feet of you. An action. That creature can expend 1 of its hit dice and then roll that die. The creature regains. I think that's how it works now. I feel like that's how that works now. Healing rerolls. This seems new. Whenever you roll a die to determine the number of hit points you restore with a spell, or with this feat's battle medic benefit, you can re-roll the die if it rolls a 1. So basically you get lucky on your healing dice. That's kind of neat. The lucky feat, you can re-roll nat 1s and you have to take the number. Give advantage immediately after you roll a 20 on a d20 test. You can spend 1 luck point to give yourself advantage on the roll. Oh, okay. That also seems a little... Oh, so, if you got luck points, then what do you need inspiration for? If you're somebody that's got the lucky feat. Because immediately after you roll it, meaning you see what it is, you know, oh shit, I got like a 6. I'm going to spend a luck point, re-roll it. Interesting. Disadvantage when a creature rolls a d20. So conversely, you can make them have to re-roll it and take the lower number. So that's interesting. That seems a little bit OP. I'll bet they're going to alter that in some way. Magic initiates. There's usually a lot of stuff that goes with that. You get 2 cantrips. The musician. What do we got here? No prerequisites. If you are a practiced musician, you can see the following. Instrument training, blah. Inspiring song. As you finish a short rest or long rest, you can play a song on a musical instrument with which you have tool proficiency and give inspiration to allies that hear the song. The number of allies you can affect in this way equals your proficiency bonus. So again, I want clarification on inspiration. Are we saying that in this way, you are granting them the token that lets them re-roll, or you're giving them like the Bardock Inspiration, which lets them add like a d4? Because that's going to be wild if that is, you can just give like 3 people inspiration. Everyone, hey gang, get up, play your lute, and you guys all have inspiration today. So, interesting. Savage Attacker. Skilled as a first level feat. You are trained particularly damaging strikes. When you take the attack action and hit a target with a weapon as part of the action, you can roll the weapon's damage dice twice and use either roll against... Okay, so it's not like you're doubling it like on a critical hit. It's a sort of weird advantage, right? But you're not getting advantage on the to hit, you're getting an advantage on the damage. That's kind of cool. We'll see. I could see that potentially being a source of, you know, D&D already has a little bit of a problem with burning down enemies too fast. So hopefully enemies going forward are a little beefier. We'll see. Avern Brawler. Enhanced unarmed strike. Hit with your unarmed strike and deal damage. You can deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d4 plus your strength modifier instead of the normal damage of an unarmed strike. Isn't it already your strength modifier? Like, I feel like that's... Maybe it's just a straight 1d4. I don't know. Maybe that varies. I would have to look. Damage rerolls. Whenever you roll damage die for your unarmed strike, you can roll it again if it's... So you get lucky for your damage rolls. That's neat. Shove. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of an attack action on your turn, you can deal damage to the target and also push it 5 feet away. You can use this only once per turn. Furniture as weapons. You can wield furniture as a weapon using the rules of the Great Club for small or medium furniture and the rules of Club for tiny furniture. That's awesome. I can see people getting a lot of use out of that. That's cool. Tough. Your hit point maximum increases by an amount equal to twice your character level. That's wild. Well, you really would be tough because shit. By the time you hit level 10, you would have like 20 extra hit points. That's massive. Whenever you gain a level, whenever you gain a level thereafter, your hit point maximum increases by an additional 2 hit points. Okay, so it's reined in a little bit. Okay. Rules Glossary. Arcane spells, Artisans Tools, arcane spell draws on the ambient magic of the multiverse. Bards, sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards harness this magic, blah, blah, blah. Artisans Tools. For a list of Artisans Tools, go to see the 2014 Player's Handbook, but ignore the prices there. Those tools now cost 15 gold apiece. Ooh, I kind of want to go look back and see what those cost in the 2014 Player's Handbook. Hang on. Let me look at that real quick. You know what? I got another here. I'm gonna pull up a second window. Boop. Give me a minute. I'm gonna go to the old D&D Beyond. Just kind of want to compare that. I want to look at Artisans Tools. You won't see this on your screen, by the way. I'm doing this. Tools. Artisans Tools. Artisans Tools. Tinker's Tools. Okay, so Artisans Tools are all of the things from alchemist supplies all the way down to wood carver's tools. Some of these, look, I guess they will go up, and some of them will go down. Like, according to the text there, all Artisans Tools will now cost 15 gold, no matter which one you pick. But like in the original, looks like alchemist supplies are 50 gold. Brewer supplies are 20 gold. But then other things like cook's utensils are only 1 gold. So are those gonna cost 15 now? Kind of wild. Interesting. We'll see how that shakes out. Okay. Creature type. Aberration, beast, celestial, construct, dragon, elemental, fey, fiend, giant, humanoid, monstrosity, ooze, plant, undead. The usual suspects. Okay, a D20 test. Sounds like just a change in terminology. Term D20 test encompasses 3 main roles of the game: ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws. DM determines whether a D20 test is warranted in any given circumstance. To be warranted, a D20 test must have a target number no less than 5 and no greater than 30. So now the rules are actually going to say you can't just. I know 5 is an easy check, but in theory, one could. I mean, really, if you're going to go lower than 5, though, why are you asking them to roll? Hell, if you're going under 10, why are you asking them to roll? Rolling a 1. If you roll a 1, automatically fails regardless of any modifiers on the roll. So even if you have a really good proficiency bonus, if you roll a nat 1, failed, done, finished. Which that might be the way that goes right now. Let me go back and take a look. That might be the way that is right now, but I forget. Let's look at. That's in the basic rule, which I don't know. That's fine. Look at basic rules. Man, armor, shields, blah. Movement speed, permanent rest. Yeah, ability checks. Very easy. 5. So contest, skill, abilities, pass and check. Trying to find the specific where they talk about rolling a nat 1. Because I think usually the way I've ruled it is like, well, okay, you rolled a nat 1, but in this case your proficiency is high enough, blah blah blah. But I'm ranging from advantage proficiency bonus. Let's go to the actual PHP. Hang on a second. And go to the actual PHP and tut tut. Ability scores and modifiers. Proficiency ability check. Right. Using each ability, saving throws. Prices stuff. Okay. So not there. Hang on. Let's actually just search. And then I'll Indium content, please. Well, anyway, very much like in the game, I think I have previously ruled that your modifier could still potentially, but sounds like maybe not necessarily so here. Anyway, actually, you know what I'm gonna check one other thing. Okay, so that is how it is now. Misses regardless of any modifiers. Okay, so that's not really new. Rolling a 20. Automatically succeeds. I would definitely caveat that because people abuse the hell out of that already. You're not going to do the impossible. Regardless of any modifiers to the roll, player character also gains inspiration. So again, sounds like they're going to be handing out inspiration like candy in the new version of D&D. I keep seeing this pop up. That is a kind of a cool thing, though, I guess, because I always forget to award inspiration. People forget they have inspiration. So for it to kind of come up under specific circumstances, that's kind of neat, I guess. 20 bypasses only. Weapons and unarmed strikes have a special feature that player characters critical hits. Wait a minute. Weapons and unarmed strikes have a special feature for player characters Does that mean monsters cannot critically hit you? Critical hits. If a player character rolls a 20 on an attack roll with a weapon or an unarmed strike, the attack is also a critical hit, which means it deals extra damage to the target. You roll the damage dice of the weapon or unarmed strike a second time and add the second roll as extra damage to the target. So I have a house rule for that. You might have heard around. The way I do critical hits is I heard this originally from the Dungeon Dudes. I adopted it. I'm sure other people probably use it. But for my critical hits at my table, you get your full automatic first die. So let's say your weapon does 1d6 damage. You got a critical hit. Well, okay, you're getting 6 on that damage right off the bat. And then just go ahead and roll your d6 again, you know. So you're getting at least 6. You're potentially getting more, at least one more. Makes those critical hits a bit crunchier. It's also a critical hit that means it deals extra damage. Okay. Mace deals bludgeoning damage. Yeah, oh, it's like they're saying here, it deals 1d6 to your strength modifier. If you score a critical hit, it deals 2d6 plus your strength modifier. If your weapon or unarmed strike has no damage dice, it deals no extra damage on a critical hit. So again, I want clarification on that. Does that mean monsters are not going to get critical hits? Or maybe is that rule just going to show up like in the DMG? Because this is the these new rules are strictly for the new PHB. We still don't know what's going to be in the new DMG. So maybe we'll see that as they start to release these articles. Maybe we'll see. Maybe they put that rule specifically in the DMG this time. I'm going to be sad if that's not a thing. Because come on, you got to get those crits, you know? I'm pretty sure that's still going to be a thing. Divine spells, a gaming set, grappled condition. Or grappled you experience. Yeah, you can't move. Blah, blah, blah. That's the same stuff. Incapacitated condition. Same stuff, it looks like. Inspiration. When you have inspiration, you can expend it to give yourself advantage on a d20 test. You must decide to do so before rolling the die. So you can't do it like advantage. You gotta decide. I'm gonna go ahead and burn it now. So it's kind of like a portent, but yeah. Gaining inspiration, the main way for a character gaining inspiration is by rolling a 20 on the d20. So yeah, that is different now. Instead of the DM can also award inspiration to a character who has done something that is particularly heroic or amusing. So they've simplified that explanation a bit, but I like getting inspiration on the d20. Hey, you got a nat 20 on a thing. You get an inspiration. That's a good way to remind handing out inspiration. That's cool. I like that. You can only have one at a time. That's normal. If you still have inspiration when you start a long rest, you lose that inspiration. So that's okay. No wonder they're handed out like candy. You can't really hold on to your inspiration. Now, I would probably also modify this rule in my games. To say that you may keep your inspiration until the end of the session. Then you lose it if you haven't spent it. But I don't know, that kind of mucks with the humans getting inspiration every time they wake up in the morning. Yeah, I guess we'll see how that. I wonder if that'll change. We'll see if it changes. But But yeah, I would probably do that till the end of the session. Long rests, benefits of the rest, interrupting the rest, primal spells, slowed condition, limited movement, that's normal, tool proficiencies, tremor sense. That all seems like normal stuff. Unarmed strike. Unarmed strike is a melee attack that involves using your body to damage or grapple, blah, 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 blah. The spell lists. Arcane spells, divine spells. We have the lists, but I guess as of right now, these still do the effects that they normally do. I wonder how many of these might change going forward. But I guess we'll see. And it looks like we have hit the end of this document. So, 21 pages of some cool, neat stuff. Like I said at the beginning, go check this out. Go to D&D Beyond. Check out under sources. There is it says One D&D playtest content. Go under that. It's free to have a D&D Beyond account. Free to test this content. Try it out. Give feedback on it. Let's get as many people in there as we can. And then maybe when next month comes out, we'll do another video. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, it seems pretty cool. It's par for the course for the most part. But the new edition, the new generation, whatever you want to call it, of D&D, which again, they don't seem to be keen on calling 5.5 or 6e or whatever. It's just, D&D. They're pretty keen on keeping it backwards compatible with current stuff. They don't want people to feel like they have to rush out and buy new books. They don't want people to feel like they wasted money on the adventure books that they have now, or any of that sort of stuff, which is cool. But yeah, overall, it's neat. I don't know if I'll have very much of an opportunity to playtest this at a table, but I definitely, the survey for this one comes out on like September 1st. So I think like in 2 weeks. So I'll definitely give some feedback on it, especially about those goddamn languages. Just, I don't know. And maybe inspiration perhaps being a bit too freely given out, but we'll see. But all right, I'm going to get out of here for the night, and everybody take it easy. Thanks for tuning in, or if you watch this later on. But yeah, y'all sleep tight. We'll catch you next time.